Okay, the Democrats now have got a bill they're going to try to get passed. Basically, it's bringing in 87,000 new IRS agents to audit you. Of all times to bring this in during a recessionary period, incredible stupidity. But I mean, this is their thinking, and all it's going to do is make things worse. And people are already struggling enough, and it's just, they're going to have to hire accountants and all kinds of crap to deal with this. It's just a real mess. Anyway, I'm going to play this for you. This came out on Fox News. It sounds like this is what happens when people elect Democrats, socialists in, that just basically make your life hell and just do everything they can to ruin the economy. Anyway, folks, if you want to legally get your income taxes to zero, how to get a second passport, as quick as 45 days, do three things. Hit the subscribe button at the right of your screen. You get new videos automatically. And I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below and go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. Okay, listen to this. This will just blow your mind.
Climate and tax bill last night. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer taking a victory lap after getting all 50 Democrats on board. Listen.
If you ask me what helped you get this done, some people have asked me that. I'd put it in one word: persistence.
The bill has more than $400 billion in spending, billions in taxes, including heavily boosting the IRS enforcement. It now heads to the House, where a majority vote is all this is needed for passage. Joining me now, North Carolina Congressman Ted Budd. He's a member of the Financial Services Committee running for U.S. Senate in North Carolina. Congressman Budd, good to see you. The Democrats got it done. Is it a win for them in November, though?
No, not at all. I mean, why would they want to raise taxes in the middle or the beginning of a recession? Because this essentially taxes American working families the worst. It's got $400 billion of taxes, mostly on those and more than half of it at moderate and lower income. So it taxes everyone. It raises or it hires more IRS agents, 87,000, spends $80 billion to hire those agents when we really need 87,000 more border agents right now, not 87,000 more IRS agents to teach or to treat average working families like they're tax cheats. They're going about it the completely wrong way. Everything that I want to do, and the reason why I'm running for the U.S. Senate, Dagan, is to make life easier and better for Americans and for North Carolinians. But everything they do makes life harder on Americans. The Democrats have it wrong.
And I'll point out, and this is straight from the Wall Street Journal. This is not an editorial. This is just their reporting. And it says the corporate tax, this 15% corporate minimum tax, and they did make changes to placate manufacturers, where they preserved the tax benefits of accelerated depreciation in it. It says, the Journal, the corporate tax won't directly raise taxes on middle-class households on their individual returns, but higher taxes typically add costs elsewhere and can affect individuals. They can include smaller profits for shareholders or, quote, lower wages paid to workers. Ultimately, it is the working people who bear the burden of this, but the Democrats don't give a flying flip.
No, they don't. All taxes, all these government expenses ultimately go back to the consumer and to the taxpayer. And these are people that are trying to put groceries on their table. They're trying to buy back-to-school clothing coming up in the next couple of weeks, and they're having to make tough choices. I just recently visited in my campaign for U.S. Senate. I traveled to all 100 counties in North Carolina, and what they're telling me is they're concerned about crime and they're concerned about inflation, and everything the Democrats do make crime worse, and they make inflation worse for the American working family. They completely have it backwards. We need to be hiring 87,000 more border agents, 87,000 more cops. We need to be funding them. We need to be making things better and easier for the American working family and for North Carolinians. And everything that Joe Biden does, everything Schumer does, everything Pelosi will do later this week makes it harder on American families. You can't treat the American family like they're tax cheats. And that's the assumption by hiring 87,000 more IRS agents.
Oh, speaking of which, and Christian White, and I want you to jump here on this, yesterday, Ben Cardin, this Democrat senator, was on Fox News Sunday and was asked, can you understand how 87,000 new IRS agents would scare the heck out of millions of Americans? And Senator Cardin said, quote, if there's no reason to be fearful, and if you paid your taxes and if you complied with our laws, you should want to make sure everyone else does that. That is one heck of a midterm message, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it assumes that the IRS is acting in good faith or fair when every American knows that when you deal with the IRS, you are guilty until you prove your own innocence. And I don't know how, seemingly without a lot of objection from either side in Washington, we've now gotten to the point where transactions above $600 have to get reported to the IRS, a lot of them. And anyway, Congressman, question for you. It seems like carried interest that benefits private equity investors is not going to be taxed at a higher rate. The lobbyists came in and they got that planned loophole closure pulled out of the legislation. I'm curious why that is. So you have these private equity guys, most of whom I have to assume are limousine liberals who support the Democrats, who get to pay about 23% on income when other Americans get to pay up to 40% in federal income tax. Why did that happen?
The congressman lost his mic. We're trying to get him back.
Nope.
But answer that question yourself. Why did that happen? Again, it's meism. It is meism. It's, oh, me. And I'm talking about Kirsten Sinema. Oh, me. I love my donors. I love my rich donors. Congressman, you can answer. If you heard Christian's question, you can answer it.
I didn't hear the question, but I do know that when I look at the bill here, I see that they want to help rich people buy a Tesla, and they want to hurt working families who are just trying to afford gas. They completely have it backwards. People are crying out in all 100 counties here in North Carolina, saying, "Please help me afford gas. I'm having to choose between new clothes for my kid going back to school, new backpacks, or whether I'm going to put groceries on the table." So everything that the Democrats are doing is completely backwards. And this is on the ballot this November. Let's not worry about 2024 yet. Let's worry about 2022. And let's make sure that Americans make the right choice that makes their life better. And they can do that at the ballot box.
You have to think about the impact on the availability of prescription drugs and drug development. This is a solution in search of a problem with what they're doing with prescription drug pricing.
Folks, if you want to legally get around your income taxes, you're either going to have to move or or relinquish your U.S. citizenship. The best way is to relinquish. You can qualify, as I've put on other videos, on the foreign overseas exclusion, but you have to be outside the U.S. long enough to do that. If you're from a high tax country like Canada or Australia, you're going to have to be out away from that country long enough to detax yourself from that legally to where you're not required to pay taxes anymore in that country. And you're probably going to have to pay an exit tax depending on which country it is. But like I said before, I just did a video. We've got there's about 30 to 40,000 people waiting to try to relinquish right now U.S. citizenship. So if you're thinking about doing it, I would be doing it sooner rather than later, because it's not gonna be like a smooth process like it was 5 and 10 years ago. You're gonna be waiting in line, and if you're wanting to get out, you're gonna have to pay taxes while you're waiting in that line. So these are some things that I would be thinking about. And I'm gonna tell you something, with 87, I don't remember any time in history they've come out with this many new IRS agents. 87,000, man, there's a good chance you're going to get audited. And it's not so much the headaches of the audit, it's you're going to have to, most people hire accountants, so you're going to have to bring in accountants to do that, and it's a real pain in the butt. So these are some things that you have to think about that you're having to deal with in a country that's become very socialistic. And the only way to do it is you're going to have to make a move. And like I said, you can qualify for the foreign overseas exclusion and literally legally exclude up to $112,000 for a husband, $112,000 for a wife. That's $224,000 a year, plus other deductions you can take on top of that. The best way is to relinquish your U.S. citizenship. There's no limits on that. Remember, the foreign overseas exclusion only excludes earned income up to limits. It has no effect on investment income, estate inheritance taxes. You still have those obligations. The only way you can get around that is to relinquish. If you want to learn more on this, again, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and ask for some help. And I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below. And number 3 is, folks, don't forget, hit the subscribe button. We got just under 800 videos. This is where you pick up new tips on keeping you from paying high taxes and doing it legally. And I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.